Smith became a Kerrville Folk Festival New Folk finalist in 2016 on just his second try. In 2019, just 3 years later, he became a winner of New Folk and the BMG Songwriter Showcase at the Power of Music Festival. His most recent album, The Legend of Sam Davis, takes you back to Newton County, Arkansas in the 1820s with your guide, singer, songwriter, Aaron Smith.
I love Arkansas, but I really like playing songs in Texas. You guys, it's pretty special, what you've cultivated here. And I think it's pretty weird that Arkansas is not in the Southwest region. I think that, I don't know, football resentment or something. I don't know if you guys even think about us as much as we think about you. I don't really watch football, but yeah, it's just a weird, I don't know what the deal was, how that deal was made, but this is my home in lots of ways. So I'm really pleased to be able to sing some songs for you. I want to tell you, we'll get the product placement out of the way. This is my new project that Rich was mentioning, and it's a book as well as a CD, and it's 14 songs, 13 of which are story songs about things that happened in the early 1900s in Newton County, Arkansas. And it's artwork, maps. My mom was an artist, she painted the maps. A good friend did the artwork. There's newspaper clippings, family photos about the people in these stories. And so there'll be an open copy that you can rifle through at the merch table in the back. And I'd love for you to take a look at it. We spent a ridiculous amount of time on this thing. And it's, at the end of it, I guess I just want to say, I do some other stuff too, but I'm not going to do that now. At the Alamo Room later, we're going to have some fun. But these are kind of serious songs about some serious stuff that happened. And the first up is about the Martin family. There's 3 songs about the Martin family on that album. Henry Martin immigrated from France, married a Cherokee woman, and settled in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Georgia. And built a farm, had children, built a life there. And then the federal government decided to relocate the Cherokee. And Henry made the decision to uproot his family, to stay with the tribe, which I think is pretty meaningful. It says some pretty meaningful things about Henry if you think about it. And they made their way across the United States all the way to Russellville, Arkansas. And by the time they got to Russellville, Henry was so concerned about the welfare of his family on the Trail of Tears, so many people were dying, that he made the decision to escape. And he was helped in that by a federal soldier who'd fallen in love with his daughter Hazel. That federal soldier was Jack Evans, and he helped Henry steal 2 horses, and the family escaped and made their way through 70 miles or so of wilderness up to Hawksbill Crag and Whitaker Point in Newton County. It's about 30 miles from where I live. And they settled there in hiding. Jack Evans was now a deserter. They married him and Hazel in a home ceremony. And Henry had another daughter who's not named in the book I read, and a son named Albert. And so much effort. And I think about what this family went through to start a life in Newton County. So much effort went to getting them to that point where they were settled. And this is a story about how some of that came crashing down. It's called Curly and Tom. Albert Martin found himself a woman, Debbie Bolin, just a couple miles away. You could say they hit it off, not just a matter of convenience. No, it was love. Albert said he knew the first time he saw Debbie's face. Now Debbie and Albert went and got married. Took about a year. Circuit preacher done the job. Spent a couple nights camping, a little time alone. And it was love, Albert said he knew the first time he saw Debbie's face. Albert spent his days building cabin on his daddy's farm. Debbie spent her nights teaching Albert's family how to read. She learned them the Bible, true religion, put away their heathen gods, French popery. That's what she called Henry's Catholicism. It was popery. And they were baptized in the creek. Circuit preacher to the job, and it was love. Albert said he knew the first time he saw Debbie's face. Debbie and Albert, they waited till the end of the war. It took them 5 years before they had a child. He came out wily, full head, curly, black hair. They named him Albert Jr., they just called him Curly. And in a year he had a brother named Tom. And Debbie never figured out what went wrong with Curly and Tom. They raised him on the farm, planting and plowing, hoeing and weeding. Took a switch to their behinds. Debbie taught them how to read. She learned them the Bible, baptized them in the creed. The circuit preacher didn't mind doing the job, but it never seemed to take for Curly and Tom. Whiskey and women, gambling and cheating, cussing and fighting, and skipping out on chores. Grief to their mama, shame to their daddy. Too big for whooping, prayers unanswered. Debbie never figured out what went wrong with Curly and Tom. At the general store, cheating at cards, Curly pulled a gun. He shot Eldridge Walker. The bullet didn't kill him, so Tom struck him with a blade from a plow. And Eldridge bled to death right there on the floor. Debbie and Albert left with the boys in the middle of the night. They fled to Colorado. And them boys never changed, never worked an honest day. Debbie always wondered, sometimes she blamed herself, but she never figured out what went wrong with Curly and Tom. I was collecting stories. I just hit myself in the face with that banjo. Not the best thing you can hit yourself in the face with. I was collecting stories for this record, and I figured out that these stories are, a lot of people know these stories in my area, but they all tell them different, and the facts just shift, you know? And I think like we're all in this collective editing process where we reinvent these things, I think in a form that we kind of need them to be in, you know? I think there's actually a rhyme and reason to this, the way we do this as people. So I was asking people what they knew about Sam Davis, who most of the songs on the album are about Sam. This next one's not, but I asked Jerry Claiborne. Jerry, you live in Mount. Do you know the story of Sam Davis? He said, no, but I know his story. And he told me this story. It's about his grandfather, Ab Claiborne. And Ab was an entrepreneur and a farmer. He had a general store in Deere, Arkansas. and he had a farm in Limestone, and he let his daughter run the general store. She was 19 years old and pretty, and he rented out the lot next door to a man named H.J. Kiefer, who owned a shoe repair and blacksmithing shop. If you haven't been to Arkansas, that's how we do businesses, like shoe repair and blacksmithing, you know? A candy store that sells overalls. That's like, it doesn't work, but that is what we do. So, but yeah, H.J. Kiefer had deserted his family in Ozark, Missouri. He was in his 50s, and he took a shine to Ab Claiborne's daughter, and she didn't return his affections. And he took it really personally and murdered her. And I did mention that we are going to have some fun songs in the Alamo Room later. But this is the story that was told after the murder about the events that unfolded. And there are a few different versions of this story, but most people agree that none of the versions of this story actually tell the truth. And I've been told the truth by the family and sworn to secrecy. So, but here's the story that's told. Ab Claiborne rode to Kiefer's cabin. 7 miles he whipped his mule. When he reached the cabin yard, Ab his pistol drew. He said, H.J. Kiefer, I've come to pay you all you do. For my daughter Laura fair is slain, and I know that it was you. Let them bones burn. Keep on burning. Ab shot out the cabin windows, shots 1 and 2. All he heard was silence and the wind blowing through. Ab felt no satisfaction that his shots had found their mark. So Ab called out again as the skies around grew dark. H.J. Kiefer, come and face me. Come die like a man. For my daughter Laura fair was slain by your wicked hand. Again there came no answer. So Ab called out once more. Then shots 3 and 4 shattered H.J. Kiefer's door. Let them bones burn. Keep on burning. Ab Claiborne stood at the threshold. His heart was racing fast. And on the cabin floor he saw the body of the man. H.J. Kiefer lay unmoving. Ab called out again. Kiefer, are you dead? Heard no answer but the wind. Ab Claiborne raised his gun again with a trembling hand. Sent shots 5 and 6 to the body of the man. Let them bones burn and keep on burning. H.J. Kiefer lay sprawled on the floor, broken bottle in his grip. From the shelves of Claiborne's general store was deadly arsenic. Ab loaded up his gun, he emptied it again. Let them bones burn, keep on burning. And still Ab felt no satisfaction, and his rage did not abate. So he set fire to the body in the fury of his hate. And the people of Limestone Valley, deer and learn, gathered round to watch the corpse of H.J. Kiefer burning on the ground. Let them bones burn and keep on burning. And that's a story we were given. That's a story we believe. Some might call to question details, but I never saw the need. Ab Claiborne never killed a man, though he got to watch him bleed. Let them bones burn, keep on burning. Oh, you guys, this has been so much fun. It's just so sweet to get to play for y'all. I gotta do some tuning. I gotta think of some things to say while this is going on. This next story was collected by Bud Phillips. He wrote a book I've never been able to find, but a historian at the Newton County Historical Society gave me a Xerox copy of this chapter from her book and told me she thought it needed to be a song. Bud Phillips was in Oklahoma, and he was eating at a restaurant called the Snow Child Cafe, and he told the waitress what he was working on, the book that he was working on, and she said, well, my father's from Newton County, Arkansas, and she told him this story about her father and how he came to be named Snow Child. And funny thing about this story is that it closely matches the Scandinavian folktale. But it was this woman's father's name. And his story matches that folktale. The story he was told matches that folktale. So I like to think about why someone might do that. Frank Flood came home in the autumn, came home from the horrors of the war, to a widowed mother and a farm in disrepair. And he bent his back to labor and sought his fortune there. On those fields his father had cleared in the shadow of Mount Hersey. By the time the winter came, he had a wife. Before it came again, he had a son. And that house filled up with laughter, and those paper-thin cries, while the fields are filled with produce, and the pastures filled with life. All the memories of the war began to fade in the shadow of Mount Hersey. But the child grew ill, and in 2 years died. And they laid him to rest on the mountainside, a little coffin by his grandfather's grave in the shadow of Mount Hersey. So again, Frank bent his back to labor, and he built and he tilled and he plowed. He found a measure of peace just in working with his hands, and it kept his mind off things, and he was minded to his land. On that farm his father had set in the shadow of Mount Hersey. And when the winter came again, he was laying up wood by the family plot where 2 stones stood. And when he went home for dinner, he left behind his axe. And the snow began to fall. By the time that Frank turned back, old Bounce was baying at the darkness in the shadow of Mount Hersey. And by the axe a boy stood trembling in the cold, and he bore a strong resemblance. He was only 2 years old. And Frank searched the lands around him, but he never found a soul who could tell him how the child had come to be in the shadow of Mount Hersey. So Frank, he took the child into his home, and he brought the family comfort, and they claimed him as their own. He was the only snow child ever found in the shadow of Mount Hersey. Thanks so much, guys. It's been a pleasure. Hope to visit with you later.